I'm here live from the Blockchain Innovation Conference 2019 in Amsterdam with Aljosja Beije, the Logistics and Technology Lead at BlockLab in Rotterdam, just an hour or so away from here. And you've just come off the stage talking about trade finance.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what BlockLab does and how that is relevant to trade finance.
Well, BlockLab was founded 2 years ago by Port of Rotterdam, and with the aim of developing blockchain solutions for logistics and energy. So logistics is an easy one. If you're a port, then obviously you're interested in efficient logistics. Energy transition or energy is a little bit more difficult to gauge for most people. Why is a port interested in doing that? Primary reason for Port of Rotterdam to invest money into blockchain for energy transition is that what we see is that because of renewable energy, that's much less predictable, and because it's much less predictable, you basically put the whole industry, all the industry within the port, at risk. Right now, it's very predictable energy supplies in the Netherlands. It's a big power plant, and it works.
Yep, I mean, for a lot of people that perhaps they don't know the Port of Rotterdam, it's one of the largest ports in the world, certainly one of the busiest. And not only does it consume and use a lot of energy, obviously you've got all sorts of ships coming in and out, but also the trucks but it's actually an energy port, right? We're moving energy products through the port as a commodity.
Exactly. We're the biggest port, not only in containers in Western Europe, but also when it comes to oil, gas, coal, all these other fossil-based fuels. Yep. Well, what we see is that is going down rapidly. But we also see that this transition to renewable energies could be a threat to ensuring reliable energy sources to the industry within the Port of Rotterdam.
And I believe here in the Netherlands right now we're unfortunately consuming about 8% of our energy as renewable, despite the massive amounts of windmills and solar panels we have here. So the difference between 8% and 100%, which for me has to be the goal, but that 92% in the middle is still very fragile.
Yeah, and why we use blockchain for that is really to ensure the coordination between the different producers and consumers of energy. So that's why we focus on the energy part. We do that together with Standard & Poor, the American ratings agency. And I just talked about trade. Deliver was a project that basically started with ABN AMRO and Port of Rotterdam. I would say as a research project, and has now developed into a solution that is being scaled and further and further. And beginning 2018, Samsung joined us. They have done some really wonderful work in Korea on blockchain technology. We already had something developed in the Netherlands, so we said, okay, let's bolt those two together. And basically we created the digital notary in order to make that possible. And based on that notary, you get validated data. And with the validated data, you can provide all kinds of services and provide transparency within the global trade and create the trusted trade lane.
And so what's the next big step for you guys at BlockLab?
At BlockLab, we're really looking forward to further developing these two solutions. I would say till the end of the year, because then it should become two separate entities. It should, then it should go out of the lab environment. Yep. And if we can manage that, then that would be, I would say, a champagne moment. And after that, we want to take on new and exciting stuff and do the same thing all over again, at least a couple of times. Yep.
And how long have you been interested in the blockchain, crypto, distributed world?
I first read Satoshi's paper in 2012. And my cousin, because my cousin asked me, I want to invest in Bitcoin. I have a background in econometrics, so I understood the mathematical and the more complex part. And he said, can you advise me whether I should do it?
So the first thing you said was, no.
Exactly.
But I'm going to read about it. Yep.
Well, I said, I had never heard about it, so I said, okay, send me over the document. I read it. And my advice to my cousin was, don't don't buy any crypto. And he said, why? I said, well, it's not going to scale. Thank God, he's very pig-headed.
Yep.
So he bought. He became a crypto millionaire. I never invested in crypto, so I'm probably one of the few people.
And this is why econometrics don't give advice.
Exactly, exactly. So that's how I got into it. And to me, the technology and the idea was so fascinating because I saw it really as a way to create coordination amongst decentralized parties, and that is what logistics is all about.
Yeah.
And for me, that was the reason why I started reading more about it. Of course, with Bitcoin, you couldn't do a lot. Then Ethereum came, and then
and it all got out of control.
And then it got totally out of control. Yeah. Even writing a book about it.
Yeah, I do find it fascinating that there's essentially two camps. You've got the people going after the currency side of things, and whether it's the get rich quick or the here we have a way of solving money and banking and trust, or you've got the other side saying, now forget about that, but oh my God, look at what we can do with trust and anti-bureaucracy and the kind of stuff that you guys are working on.
Yeah.
What do you think is the next big step in the world of crypto, not on the currency side of things, but on the if I can call it operating system side of things?
Well, one of the things that really draw me also to the tokenization part of blockchain is really the idea of creating these immutable assets. And the bill of lading is a perfect document where you want this kind of immutability. Yep. Where you also want to make sure that transfer of ownership happened in a controlled way.
Yep, and preferably real time and traceable,
exactly,
which usually don't go hand in hand when it's paperwork.
Exactly. So, and that is where I see, at least for trade finance, the next big step, and we already are setting our first steps in that respect together with ports in Asia Pacific.
Yep.
To do the first proof of concepts. How can we make this bill of lading truly interoperable? And how can we take this bill of lading, which has been 700 years old, into the 21st century?
And I think most people, I actually have a background in supply chain, so I understand this more than average, but I think most people would be shocked if they knew how much paperwork, and I do mean old school paperwork, goes through the entire supply chain from, not even from the factory, but beginning all the way back at order processing until it becomes a bill of lading, until it finally gets delivered, and then into archive, and so much cost and inefficiency. Yeah. You mentioned a book.
Yeah.
When is that coming out?
It's already out.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It was. It cost me a whole year of weekends.
Yep.
And long hours during daytime.
What's it called?
It's called Blockchain and Supply Chain. No surprises for the title. I co-authored it with two professors from the University of Southern California. One is a real supply chain professor, the other one is a professor in cybersecurity and IoT systems. Yep. And I basically bolted the two different worlds together in the chapters explaining why you want to use blockchain within the supply chain. And
so is this a book designed for sort of hardcore supply chain people, or is it interesting for people who have a broader perspective around blockchain and related tech?
I would say it's more for the supply chain real aficionados. I think it is really about what can blockchain and other technologies do for the supply chain. So a big interest in the topic of supply chain is I think needed.
Perfect. So if you have an interest in supply chain and how that works with blockchain, crypto and related technologies, do check out the book from Aljosja Beije from BlockLab in Rotterdam. As I said earlier, we're broadcasting with all of the speakers here live from the Blockchain Innovation Conference 2019 in Amsterdam. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Great.